You know what most gardeners get completely wrong every summer? They water, 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 thinking that frequent irrigation alone will save their crops. But the reality is most soil just doesn't hold moisture, and plants suffer, not because there isn't enough water, but because it evaporates or drains away faster than you can give it. The consequence is stressed plants, uneven growth, and soil that's slowly turning into dust under your own feet. If you want real results, you have to change how your soil works, not just how much water you pour on it. By the way, if you care about getting practical tested strategies like this, hit that subscribe button now. You won't want to miss the tips we drop every week for serious gardeners. The trick I'm going to show you today isn't flashy, it isn't in most gardening books, and it doesn't involve expensive additives. It's something you already have lying around: old cotton, linen, or natural fiber clothing. I call it the clothing trick, and I've tested it across backyard gardens, raised beds, and even hydroponic setups. The results are the same. Soil that stays evenly moist for weeks without constant watering, improved nutrient availability, and happier plants. Old advice about mulch is only half right, and it misses the bigger problem. Most gardening advice tells you to mulch heavily, and yes, mulch is good, but it doesn't solve the problem of soil structure or moisture retention in the long term. Straw, wood chips, and bark decompose slowly and create pockets of uneven moisture. They also don't absorb water like a sponge. That's where shredded clothing comes in. Cotton and linen fibers act like tiny sponges inside the soil, soaking up water and slowly releasing it to plant roots. I've tested this in 4x8 raised beds using a ratio of roughly 2 parts shredded natural fiber clothing to 8 parts soil, mixed evenly in the top 6 inches. This is enough to improve moisture retention without suffocating roots. How to shred and incorporate clothing without killing your soil. Start with clean, natural fabrics. Avoid synthetics like polyester because they don't break down and can interfere with soil biology. Cut or tear the clothes into small pieces, about 1 to 2 inches square. You don't want threads so long that they mat together. Mix the shreds evenly into the top layers of your soil. In a small backyard garden, I use about 2 medium-sized t-shirts per 4x4 foot section. For raised beds, increase proportionally, but never exceed 25% of soil volume. Too much can impede drainage. In hydroponic or soilless setups, I layer the shreds at the bottom of containers under a nutrient-rich substrate. They wick water from the reservoir and release it slowly to plant roots, keeping your media consistently moist. This method works even in hot, dry summers. I actually tested a raised bed of tomatoes last July during a record heat wave. Normally I would water every morning, but with shredded cotton mixed into the soil, I could skip 2 full weeks of watering without any leaf wilting or flower drop. Soil tests showed consistent moisture at a 6-inch depth, right where the roots were active. The difference is dramatic if you're used to uneven watering. The soil doesn't crust, your roots don't dry out, and your crops grow steadily rather than in those stressful bursts. Now here's how to integrate this with vermicomposting for maximum impact. One thing I strongly recommend is combining shredded clothing with a worm composting system. I use the top XIAN 5-tray worm composter in my home garden. It's compact but efficient, with 5 stackable trays that make harvesting worm castings simple. I place food scraps, vegetable peelings, and shredded cardboard in it, along with a bit of coconut coir. And within weeks, I have nutrient-rich worm castings and liquid fertilizer. You can add a layer of these castings over your soil after mixing in the shredded clothing. The worms not only help decompose any fabric slowly, but also aerate the soil, improving both structure and moisture retention. I'll link the composter in the description if you want to see the exact model I use. It's reliable, easy to set up, and honestly, perfect for serious gardeners. Don't expect instant compost, but do expect consistent moisture. A lot of gardeners give up because they expect shredded clothing to break down like a chemical soil conditioner overnight. That won't happen, and that's totally fine. You're not looking for immediate nutrient release. You're improving the physical properties of the soil. Over the season, those fibers will slowly decompose, especially if you integrate worm castings or even just a thin layer of organic compost. In hydroponic setups, it's even more straightforward. You're primarily using the fibers as a wicking medium, and they last several months before needing replenishment. Here are some practical tips based on real tests in raised beds. When you're working in a raised bed, it's best to start by loosening the soil first. Then, mix your shredded fabric into the top 6 inches using a spade or a broad fork. After that, water thoroughly, because the fibers will expand a bit as they absorb water, which actually helps improve the soil's porosity. You can also top dress with a thin layer of compost. This brings in nutrients and microbes that help speed up decomposition. For successive planting, I usually add another handful of shredded clothing per square foot before transplanting seedlings. This simple step keeps the bed consistently moist even during hot, dry spells. How much to use without suffocating your roots? I know this is the question every experienced gardener will ask. How much is too much? In my trials, anything above 25% of the soil volume creates a dense mat that can trap water excessively, causing root rot in heavy soils. For sandy soils, I sometimes go slightly higher because the fibers hold water that otherwise drains too quickly. Always test a small section first if you're unsure, especially in deep-rooted crops like carrots or beets. You want fibers to help, not hinder. Why you shouldn't ignore this, even if you're already mulching. Mulch and shredded clothing work together, not against each other. Mulch blocks evaporation from the surface, while fibers inside the soil wick water from below and slowly release it to roots. This dual system drastically reduces watering frequency. In one test bed, I went 18 days without irrigation in July, while my neighbours were watering daily, and my tomatoes, peppers, and leafy greens thrived. This isn't hype, it's the kind of moisture control that separates serious gardeners from casual ones. Integrating with a worm bin makes it effortless. Once your worm composting system is producing castings, mix a layer into your raised bed or garden soil before planting. Then fold in shredded clothing lightly, water well, and let the soil settle. Over the season, worms will continue to move through the soil, distributing organic matter and helping break down fibers further. You get richer soil, better moisture retention, and stronger, healthier plants, all from materials that are cheap, sustainable, and often already available. Closing thoughts: grow smarter, not harder. The clothing trick isn't a gimmick, it's a practical, tested method to transform your soil and reduce watering without relying on chemicals or complicated gadgets. Combined with a solid vermicomposting system like the top XIAN 5-tray worm composter, it's a game changer for serious gardeners. If you implement this, you'll see steadier growth, better yields, and soil that actually works for you, not against you. If you want more actionable techniques like this, subscribe to Farm Logic now. Share this video with anyone who grows food and struggles with summer heat, because this isn't something you want to keep to yourself. And don't forget, the link to the worm composter I use is in the description. It's affordable, efficient, and perfect for integrating into your garden workflow. This is how you take control of moisture, boost soil life, and grow food that performs reliably through any season. Apply it consistently, watch your plants thrive, and let your soil do the work for you.